No instructions, appear to have no control. Like, it doesn't matter what I do, it still just does it just turns. I'm just turning. I can't seem to lift off.
Uh-oh.
What the heck? Why did they change for him? I don't understand. Oh my goodness. Good morning. So we started our day at the, what is it, Alaska Aviation Museum?
Yep, I think so.
And it's actually really cool. They have all this history of kind of flying aviation in Alaska and talking about how they've used airplanes to get supplies and people to some of the more remote areas, and how they've had to adapt using seaplanes and adding skis to the bottom of planes so that they can take off and land in like snow or ice, flying out to glaciers. So it was really interesting, and they had a lot of planes themselves, and then also like artifacts and outfits, and they talked about specific pilots and things like that. And they also talked a lot about during World War II, Japan attacking Alaska and kind of battles. So I had never learned about kind of, the only attack on US soil that I had been aware of was Pearl Harbor. So I didn't realize that they also were doing things in, by the Japanese, I should say, in Alaska. So that was really interesting to learn about that. What did you think, Robert? Did you learn anything interesting?
I did. A lot of supplies, and really the lifeline of Alaska is through the air, because you can't get stuff into the interior by ground. So all of these small sort of supply flights are really important for getting people in and out. So glad they exist.
Yeah, and it was saying like some of the like early flights out into the interior were like, they were saying like, oh, it took 2 days instead of 4 days by dog sled. And it's like such a difference. So it's interesting. And the other thing that I thought was really funny, at one point there was this like kind of, there's a little hallway in between two of the hangars, and it had all of these like posters for this airline, and it was Wien Airline, W-I-E-N, which, or was like Wien, Alaska. And I was really confused because that's Vienna in German, and I was like, what? Vienna Alaskan Airlines? I was like, I didn't get the connection. I was like, that nothing else is in German, it's just this one word, I don't get it. And then later, there was a display, and it was talking more about the airline, and it's the last name of the person who started it. His name is Noel Wien. So that explained that. But now we're just sitting outside, seeing if we catch any sights of any flights taking off for landing. But they remind me of that Reese Witherspoon rom-com, Sweet Home Alabama, because her love interest in that flies a seaplane at a couple points. Have you seen that movie, Robert?
I have not seen that movie.
You haven't heard of that movie?
Nope.
We own it, so.
It's deep cuts.
On DVD. Comment, sound off in the comments below if you are familiar with the movie Sweet Home Alabama and know what I'm talking about. And hopefully just the memories flooding back of classic cinema right there. All right, I think this is my favorite of the outdoor planes. You can see it's like a seaplane. And look, first of all, it's such a pretty blue and gold. Love the color, but it just looks so cool. It's unlike any plane I've ever seen before, with the like, propellers up top there and everything. I don't know, this is the one I want to ride in if I was going to. I don't want to ride in any of these because honestly that scares me quite a bit, but that one I think is my favorite. What about you, Robert? Do you have a favorite out here yet?
I love the jumbo jet.
The big one?
Yeah.
The Boeing 737?
Yeah. Go big or go home.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's see what it looks like on the inside of this. Maybe I won't want to fly in it once I see the inside here. I don't know, it looks pretty spacious in there. Let's see, I'll cover that for you. Hello again.
We are back.
So we've been spending time walking along the, was it Alaska Coastal Trail?
Coastal Trail, yeah.
Coastal Trail. So we started on the Ozkopf.
Wait.
Robert will look it up. We started at a lookout and walked apparently 5 miles, no.
Woronzof. Point Woronzof Overlook.
It is apparently 5 miles from the lookout to downtown, which took us about an hour and a half, a little more than that. And then had lunch at this little bake shop in town. We got there like close to when they closed, so they didn't have a ton of selection because it sounds like they bake everything fresh every day, which is good. So it was delicious. I got a chocolate chip cookie and a roll. Robert got
a sandwich and a scone.
I had some of the scone. It was very yummy. And then we walked around downtown a little more and popped into some galleries. Very fancy, very expensive.
Yeah.
Not quite in our budget.
If you would like to see some of that art in our home, please donate to the channel on our yet to be established Patreon and or Venmo.
Just kidding. We don't have those.
Or just give me cash.
Yeah.
Next time you see me.
You know, you if you're watching this, probably you know us in real life. So just shoot us a direct Venmo. No. Or Zelle. You know, you see all the commercials.
Ooh.
Oh, totally kidding. So we walked down some more. I grabbed a slice of pizza because I needed a little more food because I didn't get a proper sandwich because all the sandwiches were pre-made and none of them held my particular interest. So.
Chelsea's fancy like that.
No, I just am a very picky eater. So I got pizza. I got pepperoni pizza and picked off the pepperonis, gave them to Robert. And now we've been walking back, so it's another 5 miles back. Robert was saying this might be the most we've walked in a day, 10 whole miles, and that's just this part. We've walked other things.
That's true. We also walked at the museum.
Around downtown and everything. So yeah, I can feel it in my legs, feel it in my toes. But we're right now. There's this spot that's talking about the earthquake. Let me see if I can show you. So one thing that was interesting is it was saying, here, let's go over, but well, first I'll show you. You can kind of see we're at this coastline and then there's another kind of wetland lined and then the water. And they're talking about this earthquake in the 1960s on Good Friday. Was what was it, 9.4, 9.5? And so we're here where the water is, and this is where the bluff line was before the earthquake, and now it's all the way down here. So a very substantial earthquake. Is actually a lot of really good information in this, and these little, there's a bunch of little plaques that we just randomly happened upon this, and really interesting. But of course, and funnily enough, Robert and I were recently talking about tsunamis and like how scary they are. And so we're reading about the tsunamis as a result of this earthquake. And my favorite part is that because this is, you know, oil drilling and everything is happening, there are all these oil tanks. So the oil caught on fire on top of the water. So the tsunami waves, which are 40-foot waves moving 100 miles per hour, ablaze with burning oil. And somehow only 13 people died. So I think that's kind of miraculous. Like,
yeah.
What are the odds? Also, how scary must it be to see a 40-foot, 100-mile-per-hour wave coming at you on fire? Terrifying. So there you have it. We learned a little bit about earthquakes, and I didn't realize how there's a plane taken off. Oh, it's a seaplane. I didn't realize how many earthquakes there were in Alaska. I think we read at one of the museums, I believe the statistic was, and we should fact check this, that in Alaska there's an earthquake every 15 minutes somewhere in the state. That's how frequent they are. You don't always feel them, but they're there. And then the other thing that was interesting, we went into one of the galleries, the woman running the gallery got talking to us, and she was telling us that it hasn't rained around here since the beginning of April. I think she said the first week in April.
Yeah, so today is May 19th, so that's about
almost
6 or 7 weeks.
2 months without rain. And we passed by somewhere that had like a you know, wildfire warning,
Mm-hmm.
and it said that the danger
yeah.
risk was very high right now. And I didn't really think anything of it, but that makes a lot of sense now that we know how there's been a rain. And when we were at the airport this morning at the Aviation Museum, they were like spraying down a lot of the airport. And the woman was like, oh yeah, they do that because of the dust that can, you know, make it hard for planes to take off and things like that. So really, unfortunate. I mean, it's been beautiful weather for us, and so selfishly, like, I love this. I love all the sun, but it's obviously not very good for the local area. Oh, and the other thing she said, which I think is so fascinating, is that they don't salt their roads. She said they only use sand and very little. She said really just at the intersections, like crosswalks, will they put down sand. And she said everyone just drives with like studs on their tires.
Deal with it.
Yeah.
People know how to drive in the snow, unlike everywhere else you've ever lived.
True. I mean, like, growing up outside of Syracuse, like, I feel like I have more knowledge, but even so, I love snow tires or salt on the roads. Like, not going crazy, but just enough. But I think, though, that, like, studded tires are even more intense than, like, chains. I think it's, like, another level. Again,
well,
could be wrong. Yes, it is Alaska. It is a whole other world up here. But, I mean, what a great thing for the environment to not be just salting like crazy and having the people adapt to it instead. The environmentalist in me is all for it. All right, let's keep walking. We're in our Jimmy Jams. All tuckered out from all that walking today.
It was exhausting.
We'll do it. But we had dinner at the Rustic Goat. I got salmon, my first salmon in Alaska, believe it or not.
Yeah, wow, day 3.
Took until day 3. But I know we're having it Sunday night. Today is Thursday, so I was like, well, I gotta make sure I have some so that I don't get, you know, I don't want to have it too often in a row. So that was part of it too. But it was yummy.
Yeah.
And we had some wine, and you got a beer.
Beer, I was less cultured. I got nachos.
And cantaloupe
And a cantaloupe bisque.
Oh, bisque, yes. For some reason, in my head, I heard like caribou or like some other type of, what's the deer that kind of antelope? You know, I just thought it was going to be a meat bisque, and then it was orange, and I was confused. He's like, you want to try some? And I was like, no, I'm good. And then when I realized it was cantaloupe, the fruit, I was like, oh yeah, I'll try some. And it was good. It was cool. So that was yummy. And so that's it. So this is our last night in Anchorage.
Until we come back.
Yeah, so we'll be back at the very end of the trip because we fly back out of Anchorage. But tomorrow we drive to Seward, but we're going to be doing stuff along the drive. We're not necessarily spending any real time in Seward tomorrow, but it'll be exciting. It'll be a little cooler in Seward. I checked the weather.
Oh, well,
it's a little cooler, not that much, just a couple degrees, but hopefully still sunny.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll see you then.